Staying with Monday Special. In just a few moments, I'll be introducing you to who my panelists are tonight. But first, let's take a look at what some of you are saying on social media regarding teenage rebellion or difficult teen behavior. At Salome Wabuko says, sometimes teenagers rebel as a way of trying to get attention from parents and the community, which is also what we'll be talking about. At Wafula_wa_Baro says, when I was in Form 2, I could not listen to my mom until one day touts wanted to beat me up. Okay, interesting. And then we have at Mustafa Fazul says, some are influenced by the society they live in and their peers. And at Zacchaeus 8 finally says, some teens are influenced by their peers into bad deeds, hence leading to lack of concentration in class, hence rebellion. All of which we'll be unpacking very shortly. So I'll introduce my panelists to you, starting with those on my right. We have George Barasa, who is a case study. He'll be telling us more about his own teenage rebellion and how, whether or not he's actually reformed. He's actually saying he's now a professional rebel. He'll tell us more about what that means. Then we have Victoria Coy, who is a parent to a daughter who was once a rebel. How did she cope with it? What did she learn from that experience? She'll be telling us more about that. On my left, I have Caroline Obori, who is a student who was a rebellious teen that landed her in jail. So she'll be telling us about to what extreme, what did she do to get to that extreme and why that changed her life. And then finally we have Susan Gitao, who is a psychologist, and she'll tell us more about the mind of teenagers and why they exhibit some of this behavior sometimes. So obviously I want to start with the two of you. Very quickly, George, you describe yourself as a rebel teenager then and now. So what were you like as a teenager? What is some of the rebellious behavior that you exhibited?
Oh, I can say back when I was a teenager, I couldn't do according to the advice I was given by my parents.
Why is that?
Because I didn't have that much respect over them because of some reasons. Like I come from a family with mad with domestic violence.
Okay.
And so we would see our daddy and mom fighting all the time, and so our respect went a little bit low because they couldn't respect us while they were doing that. So I was affected by that.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you did? What are some of the ways that you vented your behavior that was rebellious and would term you as a difficult teenager to be with at home? At
primary school, I ventured into modeling, and I was too young to do modeling then without without a mentor or somebody. I just woke up one day and say I want to be a model, and I started doing it at Saturday 8. And so
did you stop school as you were modeling?
I was still modeling.
And schooling at the same time?
Exactly.
Okay. But you told me you faked your own death.
Yes, I faked my own death in primary school at around standard 4. Yeah, and I had to call my mom and tell her, Mom, come to the mortuary and pick the body.
So wait, okay. Obviously, you were muffling your sound so that it didn't sound like you, but you said, Mom, your son is dead, come to the mortuary.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's extreme.
Like, am I speaking to Susan? Please come to the mortuary.
Oh, okay, that's how you put it. Okay, let me come to Carol. We have to move along. What about you? You were telling me earlier on as we were speaking, you were a difficult teenager. It ended up landing you in Shimolatewa prison in a cell with grown women. How did you get to that point?
Oh, I was a very serious rebel because I was living with my dad. My mom and dad separated when I was still a small kid. So sometimes it's kind of hard for the dad because there's some stuff I can't tell him. I really need to talk to someone. I'm at an age where I'm getting to know so many things, all of them at the same time. I can't handle all that alone. I need someone I can talk to. My dad comes home late. I need to talk to him. I can't tell him some of the stuff. So I look up to my peers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of behavior did you then get involved in?
Since I was in Mombasa, you know, there's a lot of luxurious life there. So we could go out with my friends, party. I really, really loved partying.
Did you drink?
Yeah, I drank. I was still like 12 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I could drink then and still party then, and my dad wouldn't even have an idea sometimes. Or rather, even if he did, he wouldn't. Even if he told me, why are you doing this, I wouldn't take him that serious. You know, a dad's tone is not like a mom's tone. Yeah, because a dad wouldn't want to look like he's not taking care of the kids
Right.
as the mom is supposed to.
So how did you wind up in jail? What happened?
Oh, it was just a mistake. Was one of the day we were coming out of some place we had gone to rave. We met our teacher. So it was raining. I remember was my best friend. She's called Stella Charles. So it was raining. Then now we were trying to get into the matatu. As we were trying, we just turned and we saw our teacher. So we had to get in the matatu through the window. Yeah, it was that bad because we didn't want to be seen.
Okay.
Yeah. So when we were trying to do all that, the teacher actually finally saw us. So the next day in school, we were still scared he's gonna tell on us and stuff. And funny enough, we were just caught by the police. I think they had seen us drunk that night.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they came for us in school.
Wow.
Yeah, and we were arrested. Funny enough, then that's when I realized this rebelling thing is taking me to places I've never been to.
Because you spent 2 weeks in prison with grown women.
With grown women, and that time I was supposed to be in school.
And you were 13.
And I was 13, and
Okay.
yeah.
That's, how old are you now?
I'm 20.
You're 20. So okay. Right. So maybe we can, before we come to Susan, because there's a lot of psychology play here. Victoria, you have a daughter. She was also exhibiting very difficult behavior. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, one, I want to say I don't have one daughter.
Okay.
I actually have 4 daughters. But of the 4, they're very different, and it's only one who stands out different.
Okay.
And maybe what the behavior that she had is just standing out, standing up to me. They lost their father at, like, she was going into Form 1. You know, that is an age that is a little bit delicate for most girls, you know, wanting to show off and all.
Yeah.
And it is only at that point that I started realizing behavior, and I thought maybe because she's lost the father or, you know, something like that. But then I looked back. I want to appreciate one of the principals then in Nia Girls, who actually called me in school when she was terrorizing everybody in school.
Terrorizing how?
I mean, like running around with a knife, you know, teasing the other kids.
Oh,
not really
not
knife,
literally.
but you
Bullying,
know, bullying is
okay,
something like
bullying.
that. Yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah.
And eventually she called me and she told me, I think we need to move this girl.
Okay.
She's a good person, but she will not survive here.
Okay.
You know, so the best is to move her. And I actually took the advice and moved her to a private school.
And it helped?
It helped
Okay.
a lot.
All right, I'll come to that.
Yeah.
So, Susan, why? I think we're hearing something similar, especially from the panelists. You know, we have domestic violence on one hand, we have separation, we have death. Is it also that instability, so to speak, in the home that really would be a main reason why young people would rebel?
That's the truth, Janet, and most parents don't want to accept this because, like all the teenagers probably we've dealt with in counseling, you realize a parent has to come on board. What happens is that we talk about adolescence crisis, but in the real sense, I think we just joke around it.
Oh.
The truth is they are sort of trying to move from childhood to adulthood. And the crisis within can be from the reasons they have talked about, and some could be is about the personality of that child, and the parents don't want to listen. And the worst that can happen is when a parent behaves like the teenager. The teenager is in crisis, and the parent is also in crisis.
Right.
Where you lack emotional intelligence in the way they're dealing with one another. But sadly, when you hear of loss and grief in the family, most parents don't know that's one way of acting out loss and grief.
Okay. The thing is, a lot of people will say teenagers generally act out. When someone becomes a teenager, they don't necessarily want to hang out with mom and dad. They don't want to be told what to do. Some may say that's typical teenage behavior. But what's the thin line between typical teen behavior and troubled teen behavior? Is it sort of citing the examples that Caroline and George have given?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You know, when you fake your death and
a
when
bit
Caroline
extreme.
has to land in jail at that tender age, then there's a problem. Or where you hear a teenager has joined a criminal gang.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
are there telltale signs?
Oh,
I know you've
yes.
talked about parents not accepting it.
Yes.
Are there signs that a parent can actually identify and say they are now going towards the troubled teen side?
Like you heard from Victoria, she has not one daughter, 3 daughters, but this particular daughter happens to be different. So when you find that your child has a different behavior from the others, like they don't want to listen to you, it's not always that they don't listen to you, but if you find one that is not always listening to you, there is a problem. When you hear there are problems in school, you need to find out always, any behavior that is over-recurring, you need to find out as a parent what could be happening.
And then how do you start that conversation? And this is when at some point I'll take it back to George and Caroline. Now you know that your child is troubled and they're exhibiting this rebellious behavior. And you also don't want to push them any further. How do you then begin to intervene? What are the
we are
steps?
now talking about a parent who has realized now they are not together.
Yeah.
Because in an ideal situation, you need to start being a friend with the child from the moment they are actually in the womb. Get close. Because even when you find out they are actually going off the hook, you will know they'll come back home. But when you realize that now things are not working out, don't go up. As they go up, go down. You will meet somewhere. And never lose your position as a parent. It's good to be assertive.
Okay.
Because they always play around with you. By the way, most of the time they are trying your power.
Yeah, or to
and
see.
your authority. Yeah.
Did your parents, maybe George, I'll start with you, did they try and talk to you? Did they try and understand where you were coming from? Or did they just say, you difficult teenager, I don't want to deal with you?
They wanted to take me to Bosco, the teenage prison.
Oh, wow. They were actually telling you this is where we'll take you if you continue.
Yeah, it almost happened.
Okay.
Yeah, but I eventually, you know, when you use such kind of force towards a rebel kid like me, I would probably reiterate back with so much rebellious in
rebellion that it becomes, and you can feel it. And you can feel it.
Yeah, and I can feel it because I still want to be on top. I still want to be in control.
Are you still angry about all the things that you went through? Does it still manifest today in your life?
Yeah, every bit of it. Like I remember everything. Everything. It keeps on coming over and over.
And do you still feel like you're still a rebel? Is it hard for you to, for instance, take cues from authority? Do you fight with authority? Do you fight with authority figures?
Yes, much often. I'm always fighting with authorities now. It begins at home.
We're laughing, but it's actually pretty serious.
It began at home, and now I'm fighting not just with local authorities, but international authorities, including 70.
Okay.
Yes.
That's okay.
So that's a fun
story for another day. Yeah. So, what about you? Did your parents try and intervene?
Yeah, my mom and my big sister, they tried their best because they just realized I couldn't stay with the friends I had in Mombasa. So they took me to my beautiful home country, my home village. I'm from Budalangi. So they took me back to Budalangi and they just realized there are no clubs there. Rather, not serious ones. So the only thing you can do is actually just focus in your life and just get to where you want to go. Just realized I needed to help my mom. Was looking at the life she was living, just figured out all that fun I was having in Mombasa. It was all lies, and I just needed to focus more in life. So my mom talked to me. Yeah, that's why I told you there's a turn. There's a mom's turn and there's a dad's turn. So my mom talked to me. I actually realized I needed to change. I went back to school in Budalangi, as I said, then did my KCP there. I did well and finally joined Alliance Girls.
Which is really good. You told me that on the phone earlier. So you actually joined Alliance Girls, and you know now you're doing a college course and everything. So we'll still continue, and I'll come back and ask you. But what advice then would you give to a rebellious teenager?
There's no advice you can give to a rebellious teenager because that feeling is not something you adapt. It's something you feel inside you. You just feel like, I should do this. Let me just go out and have fun. I'm seeing people doing this. It's not even about advising them. It's putting them in the environment that they can see much is not done.
Before, I know I'll ask you that as well. And before I come to you, Victoria, do you think parents are somewhat to blame for the behavior that you see teenagers exhibit?
Yeah, I totally believe parents are there to blame because you are supposed to be my mom, you are supposed to be my dad. Yeah, I believe parents separate, but you're supposed to be there for me. Yeah, so you're supposed to be calling me. You're my dad. Yes, you're working. You're supposed to be there for me. When I call you, you're supposed to be there and listen to me. Yeah, don't go, like, don't compare me to other kids. That's something rebellious teenagers totally don't like.
So yours was a call for attention. That's why you were...
His was a call for attention.
The faking death, that's a call for attention.
So serious.
Before I come to you, Susan, Victoria, is any of this hitting home with you? Did you kind of see any of this with your own experience?
Yeah, maybe just what I wanted to say is, I mean, it's typical what they're saying. It's right. I didn't experience that extreme. But just like she says, you know, there's bad cop, good cop. So the mother's voice or the father's voice, they're different. And when you're two, then one plays a good one and the other one plays a bad one. Then, you know, somehow you manage to streamline them. But when you're alone, then it becomes very difficult. And of course, what we also don't realize is that these children grew. And they know much, they know a lot. But we think they're still kids. And whatever we do affects them as they grow. And then they tend to now start having that. Like George says, you know, it is that being in a very, you know, area of fighting in the homes and all, that actually caused him to be rebellious. The parents could have fought in the bedroom and come out smiling without really affecting the children.
Yeah, so we need to take a short break as I also sort out something that's irritating my eye. And we'll come back and continue the discussion and especially look for solutions as well. Stay with Monday Special.
In conjunction with Old Mutual presents the first Grand Family Fun Day on the 13th December 2014. Here we go! Lots of fun from citizen television crews like Machachari, Inspector Mwala, and grand debut of Ann Kansime live. Lots of music from Ken Razi, Size 8, DNA, Sauti Soul. Our MCs will be Mwala, Abdi, Joro.
Charges are free for children under 18. Adults 500 shillings. Do this as you enter or be an early bird and pay through pay bill number 530-100. Account name Old Mutual.
What are
you waiting for?
Old Mutual. Do great things. Mambo yote yanasimama sababu ya bonyeza. Bonyeza ushinde na Safaricom. SMS jina lako la kwanza kwa 29555. Mamilionea 60, milionea 1 kila siku, maelfu ya washindi kila siku na shilingi milioni 5 pamoja na pika kwa mshindi wa Grand Draw. Bonyeza ushinde na Safaricom. Bonyeza. Scope, scope, scope to turn. Let me see what that scope to turn. Scope, scope, scope to turn. See me in your dreams, I'm the boss of all boss. King of all kings, I'm your favorite rapper.
Triple distilled white pearl vodka. The real pearl in your life.
Nchini Kenya, Ariel inadai kuwa bora kwa kuondoa madoadoa kwa mosho mmoja. Basi, tutakusanya madoadoa sugu, mchanga mwekundu, maji mekundu ya matunda, ice cream ya chokleti na kulinganisha Ariel dhidi ya sabuni nyingine ya kawaida nchini Kenya ili kuona ni ipi bora kwa kuondoa madoadoa sugu kwa mosho mmoja. Tutafua nusu kwa Ariel na nyingine kwa sabuni ya kawaida. Je, sabuni ya kawaida imeondoa madoadoa haya? Na Ariel je? Kwa hivyo ni kweli, Ariel ndio bora kwa kuondoa madoadoa nchini Kenya. Ariel, sabuni bora kwa kuondoa madoadoa sugu kwa mosho mmoja. Jenga game na Tusker.
Naitwa Joseph Mwabili. Nilipigiwaga simu na watu wa promotion ya Tusker Jenga game. Nikaambiwa nimeshinda 200,000. Na washauri pia mashabiki waendelee kutumana nazo timu zao zipate ushindi.
To win prizes worth up to 20 million shillings. Twende kazi.
Mtoto mwenye na wewe si umechoka mapema?
Nilipokuwa na ujauzito huu mtoto wangu Pendo, nilitembelea daktari wangu akanipatia
tembe za IFAS ili kuongeza damu mwilini na pia kuimarisha ujauzito wangu.
Hata matunda yako tutayaona haya.
Tukiongea ili nipate kujua mengi kuhusu IFAS.
IFAS inapatikana katika vituo vya afya vya serikali bila malipo.
This needs precision. Yes! Got to get her home before her curfew.
My dad!
Uh-oh, got to get her home fast. If we cut across 3 streets in 3 minutes and speed across the market in 2, should make it to the... Uh-oh.
Can we make it?
If we take the stairs at 30 seconds per flight, we just might... Yes! Made it in time. Mission accomplished.
Get everyday energy fast with Lucozade Energy. Arrow Developers is the perfect solution for your construction needs. With 4 years experience in the building industry, we provide the latest construction equipment across Kenya and beyond, from excavators, wheel loaders, backhoes and more. At Arrow Developers, we believe in reliable equipment and high quality services, and that's why we have more than 22 professionally trained machine operators and drivers at your service. We have unbeatable prices that will suit your pocket, and with our tracking devices fitted in all our equipment and trucks, you can create your magnificent structures with peace of mind. Call us today on 0702 111 999 or email operations@arrowdevelopers.co.ke. With Arrow Developers, we'll help you piece it together.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with Monday Special, where we're talking about how to cope or how to deal with a difficult or rebellious teenager. And I'll throw this one to Victoria as a parent. You were saying, you know, you're talking about good cop, bad cop. Looking back in hindsight, is there anything you could have done differently, you think, to prevent your daughter going to the extreme, one? And two, what advice would you want to give to parents? Because a lot of the time, even listening to what Caroline and George are saying, it's the way that parents sometimes intervene that pushes the child further away. So what would you do differently, and what would you want to advise parents to do?
Okay, I think it's a lesson learned. Having a strong personality child who you actually think is a rebel because they stand up to you. They will tell you exactly what they think. I learned that understanding this child then makes it much easier. And as she says, you know, you don't have to say you're better, you should be like so and so. No, your child is your child, and even when you have all of them in the house, they're totally different.
Okay.
And a strong personality child then needs to be understood. Then, you know, you work with what they have. Like you were saying, it's very interesting. So when you said when they're up, you're down, is it basically the tone you're talking about? If they're yelling and screaming, you're the mature one who has to stay calm and bring them to that level. Is that one of the things you'd advise?
Verbal and non-verbal should match. Yes. Not when I tell you I love you and I'm hitting at you, you know, or I'm hitting you hard. And it's also good for parents to know there's no book, there's no training for parenting. So none can claim to be the best of the parents. But every day you roll with your child, roll with your teenager. And maybe for Carol, before maybe you go with this and teenagers take it with them, it is good to know as a child, as much as you want your parents to care for you, give you attention, you also have a responsibility. Because I don't see how it can be one way.
Okay, so even as we begin to wind up, 2 questions. One, how would you, right now there's someone watching and they have a teenager who is out of control. They don't know what to do with them. What would you want to tell that person, the first step to getting through to that teenager? What would you want to tell that parent?
Just create rapport. And the next thing, admit you're unable to control the child. These days counseling services are all over. Take your child to the counselor. And what we are actually stating today is that let the 2 of them be guided, the parent and the child. Because the parent may think they are the best, but they have blind spots. The child may also think they are the best, but they have blind spots.
And then the reverse question is, as a teenager who's watching and who's out of control and is feeling a lot of anger, resentment, and is acting out in all kinds of ways, again, what would you want to say to them to break that cycle, or to break that anger right now? What would you want to say to someone like that?
What I want to tell all teenagers is that they have a very good opportunity in that stage to be the people they want to be. If you actually don't have a dream, you don't have a vision, it's time to get it. And even if you complain about parents, the home environment, the school environment, what about you? What do you want to make out of yourself? Because if you listen to Carol and George, finally, They wanted to be somebody, and they forgot. And that anger that is within you, it is going to destroy you. So you make a choice.
I have another question before I take it to everyone else. Someone was suggesting, and we were talking about this earlier actually with my colleagues, that one of the ways in which parents can create a rapport with their children or teenagers is doing activities with them, like even going out with them. Like if you're going to go to a club,
actually,
you'd rather
I'm very
escort
happy,
them.
Janet, because yesterday I was with a group of KDA family. They're putting up a social hall and a counseling center for their own. You can imagine that they play together, they compete together, and that parent who was at a distance with the teenager
started to connect.
Definitely.
What about things like going out to the club? Would you advise a parent to take their 14-year-old?
No,
like,
no.
So if someone, she says she wants to go clubbing or he wants to go clubbing, and the father says, fine, I'll escort you, that's a big no.
It's a big no, because what are you supporting? What are you supporting? And what kind of club? Anyway, there could be clubs where, you know, if my child goes, and it's also good to know, is this child a strong-willed child? Is this child one who is assertive? Because if a child is not assertive, you will know. When you go to a club and you see they're not with you, they're all over. Definitely, why would they want to take my child to a crocodile mouth?
Crocodile. So you'd rather keep it to social activities, just engaging.
This is it, yeah.
Carol, you're now, you know, 20. You say that you've learned your lesson. How would you cope with your child, when eventually you have one, who rebels with you, or who's completely rebellious towards you?
Once a rebel, I'm sorry, I wouldn't finish that statement. But I was once a rebel, so I knew what I was going through, and I wouldn't want any kid to go through that. There were reasons why that made me become a rebel. If I would have a child, even now, I know what to talk to that child about. Just be open with your kid. I think that's the main idea.
Okay.
Just being open. Let them talk to you. It all starts with boys. Feelings. You are a teenager. You just start feeling some other things. You start getting attracted to people, and you're just like, why am I feeling this way? You can't talk to your dad about it. You can't talk to your mom about it. I think it's creating that environment that you guys can talk to each other.
Have a conversation. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. We'll come to you lastly. Would you do anything differently, George, if you rewound back to the years when you were faking your death and being a rebel? Would you do anything differently?
If I could go back in time, that would mean that my parents could also go back in time.
So it would be a different scenario.
Yeah,
okay.
And everything would change for the better. But since my childhood was
as it was
based on that,
yeah,
I think it determined my future.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And finally, Victoria, what's your parting shot to? Because it's something, and even before you finish, is this something every parent should expect, perhaps?
Oh,
when
yes.
they should.
Janet, I'm sure you can, all of us, or rather,
the two of you as parents.
We can recall. Probably we were just the good children.
Not so
Our parents liked us, but in the real sense, we were actually repressing.
All right.
Yeah.
So, again, your parting shot to...
Yeah,
to
I think to parents, and I really relate with George and Carol, and for parents, the most crucial thing is that you need to love your child the way they are, and you need to give time to just have them so that they have that opening to be able to talk to you, understand your child, and they grow very fast.
Okay.
So, I mean, the behavior doesn't change, by the way. The child who is young, as they grow, it doesn't change.
But it can be molded.
It can just be molded. Okay. No, just understand that child as they come up.
Okay.
Because they'll still be the same strong personality. They'll still be the same who will say no to you. And not because they don't love you. By the way, these children are the ones who have so much love. So they only just put a front. Okay. Yeah, and we need to appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. Thank you all so much. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, Hussein will join me on set and we'll wind up with some of the tweets that you've sent us. All right. I understand that we're... Okay. Sorry, this is what happens behind the scenes. So Hussein is now in studio, but we're going to take a look at some tweets as he joins me shortly, and we'll be able to wind up together. Let's take a look at that feedback right now. Parents are overprotective and ship to other partners. At Hal _ yet says, I was a difficult one at some point, but it's all part of growth. Though everything must be moderated, some overdo it?
At Clifford Part 2, parents need to be strict and keep keen watch of their teens. However, they need to do that with moderation.
Okay. And then at Keegan Daniel 93 says, parenting is very important, and yes, 60% to blame, 40% on peers and other external factors. Okay. And then we have teenagers must follow rules and regulations given by their parents for them to be safe.
Mr. Nyoike, train teens to make their own decisions wisely, but don't make decisions for them because it will bring about rebellion.
At Alex Omari one says, teens become stubborn when their needs are ignored. Parents need to listen and give age-appropriate information. That's the last tweet we have. I don't know if we have any text messages.
Yeah, on #2. I hereby suggest that nobody was born to be rebellious or stubborn, but they are made to be rebellious, and therefore parents should avoid the word made by not doing so. Teens should obey their parents, and parents should give due respect. They are not discouraged. I'm a God Stephen from Homer Bay. Mama Joy from Nairobi. The present day teenagers are very selfish. She's very angry, clearly. All the decisions they make are motivated by selfishness. That's why they disobey, because they don't want to get out of their comfort zones. They can't even sacrifice to study, do housework, eat food without tomato sauce.
Wow. She's very specific.
Yeah, they soak clothes. They don't wash them. Right.
Are you relating?
Yeah, I was coming to you, actually.
Oh,
remember, you were supposed to tell us something you did in your teenage days. Janet is going to cite time is bad.
Time is bad. Yeah, there you go.
Right.
You've known me so well. Well done,
yeah.
Hussein. Between you and I think you were the rebellious team. So that's all. Well, thank you so much for watching Monday's special. That's all the time we have. Thank you for your feedback as well. I'm Janet Mbogo. Have a good night.
Good night. I'm Hussein Mohammed.